Yeah, we're going there. Um, use clave therapy and leeches. Oh, dude, I saw this video. I'm sorry, I'm live on YouTube, but this is how we roll. I saw this video of a guy getting a leech pulled out of his nose, and it was very much alive and had been there for a while. Rose, Rose, what are you doing, kitty? Come on, now's not a good time. All right, let me get the recording going. Let me turn that off. Um, all right, welcome to the His Advocates home studio. Um, question and answer. I want to thank you guys for coming on and joining us. Um, I normally don't do a whole lot of marketing, but I want to kind of update people because there's a lot people are missing out on, and a lot that people don't really seek after or know about. And I want to just share. We've been in ministry business going on 14 years. We don't have any complaints. And we've figured out something that is not easy to find. And the Supreme Court supports it, and so does the Department of State. And what we do is we free people into basically quitting a job as a employee for the United States and coming back into the private as a true American. But Americans could be South America, Mexico, Canada, but the United States of America has a citizen, and it's called a state citizen. It's not a state national. It's not an American national. It's not a national. Those are tricks done by people online and done by the federal structure to keep people into bondage and slavery. And I know it was something I believed too at one time. So the people that are teaching it, um, I've sent out a lot of videos and emailed them directly and try to get them to, help them understand what I know. But the Supreme Court does not support American national, state national. You won't find any articles written up, any case sites, anything about that. And if you did, it would say that it's synonymous with the United States citizen. And all you have to do is go to Cornell Law, look up 8 USC 1101 A21 and A22, and then click on the word state, and then you'll go, ah. So that takes public law, converts it into US code, and tells you what Congress tried to use to trick you into thinking that a national was synonymous with a state citizen. It's just not. Secondly, we were kicked off of YouTube 4 or 5 years ago, and we now have again about 60, almost 60,000 subscribers on YouTube. So I would suggest going there and subscribing. I would suggest if you really want to learn, if this is a journey for you, and it should be, get on your phone and go to your Play Store, your Apple Store, and download His Advocates TV. His Advocates, one word, TV, no dot. And you'll be able to watch live streams, watch past videos, watch whatever that we produce. We post everything over there. There is some subscriber content, but that's largely, you can get all the subscriber content over on HISAdvocates.org when you have a VIP membership. So you're not missing anything on His Advocates TV, subscriber content wise, that you couldn't get with your VIP membership on HISadvocates.org. So we have HISadvocates.org. We publish every video there. We have HISadvocates.tv, which is another website, and that's our TV site, and that matches what you will find on your phone, on your Apple or your Google phone. You'll also find it on Apple, not, what's the Apple store? I forget. You'll also find it on Google TV. You'll find it on Roku TV, Amazon Fire, You'll find it on Samsung TV and LG TV, every pretty much TV out there. And we're working on some more cable networks. And that allows for you to be at home, get lazy one night, just put it on the beginning of a channel series or a show or the Q&A and just click play, let it play in the background and learn. Or you can go to your computer and put it in the background on HISAdvocates TV, .tv, or you can put it on your phone. At least cat hair is going around. I gotta trim her up. She jumps on my lap because I'll brush her. Anyway, so yes, I'm in my home studio today, and yes, I have 3 cats. That's Gem John, short for Gemini. My daughter named her. She brought her home without my permission and then moved out. Hey, super proud of her though. And she loves taking care of unfortunate animals. But she did tell a small white lie to get me to accept this cat, that this cat just walked into somebody's yard and they found it, just little baby, alone, no mommy or daddy. Grabbed my heart, sucked it out. You know how it is. Those daughters know how to grab you. Anyway, so we get so many hundreds of questions, and I do this one platform. I used to break the questions apart. Now I don't. I just keep all the questions together because we have segregated the questions. So if you go to hisadvocates.org or you download the app, HISAdvocates TV, you can see a segregation of how I've answered the questions right there for you to participate in, watch, and download to your phone or just stream on your phone. It's pretty neat. And so you can get your questions answered. But what I do with this, and we've answered over 2,000 questions. Now, I don't know how better I can facilitate other than getting you the actual Supreme Court rulings posted so that you can have them at your fingertips to see what it is that supports what we do. So we've put something together. We're going to push this out this week. We basically added all the years for the cases, the citations. We mostly had them all already. We're pulling in the important parts of the case. We're trying to get them all shepherdized, which means active law today. We're basically removing duplicates. We're getting, we're just categorizing them by tax code, by a state citizen is not a U.S. citizen. A U.S. citizen is not a state citizen. These different breakdowns and consensus of cases that have already been done and decided about state of the union citizen. So we're putting a document together. It should be done this week. I've got somebody else working on it, thank God, finally. And so we're going to release that. So if you're new and you're just watching this, go to hisadvocates.org, get on and join as a free member to start. Download or go to support or email support from that email that you registered with, and request a copy of the case sites. Remember, it's Monday, 5/13/2024. Please don't do this until at least Friday of this week, 5/18/2024. We should be done with the document by then. And we will give you a copy of case sites. We're going to post them on our website for people so that they can have the links, share it with their friends, share it with their family. And mind you, people ask us, what allows you to do what you do? Well, America. We were formed in the greatest nation in the world. There is no other nation like us, before or after. God is included in this nation. And if you're making a declaration of freedom to the Declaration of Independence, like the rest of Americans have, you're saying God is king and that you are self-governed. And there's a lot to think about in understanding what self-governance is. And there's a lot to grab onto mentally and hang on to. And these case sites are the United States Supreme Court, SCOTUS, um, from the last 250 years, some this century, that will tell you there is a such thing as a sovereign on this land. I don't like that word necessarily for me. Every time I step on the water, I go right through and I go knee high. Sometimes it dunks me in my, I haven't figured out how to walk on water yet. So that word sovereign for me is a little difficult, but the law does stipulate that the sovereignty of the king was passed to the state. And people often think that state is a structure, an entity, a corporation, and it could be, but it's also we the people and their own law books, Black's Law. And so we have the case sites that don't say national, American national, state national. It's state citizen. It's simple. I can't find an American national case site that supports the freedom of an individual like a state citizen does. And so I'm being clear on that because for some reason, those YouTubers or people out there subscribing to that state national, American national, I think they're really trying to say state citizen. I don't think they have intention to defraud people. And I think some of them do, specifically one, but they have millions of people watching their videos and they pretend to, and I think they're either intentionally trying to defraud people or that they because my videos, I put solid information out, I get 10,000 max, views. And it's not that I think I've earned more. I've been on YouTube for going on 10, 12 years now. They put out a simple video and a million people. I put out a video and it's good and I get a flag or a strike and I get taken off YouTube. So on that note, it's important for us to start to realize who we are and to make that conversion of being a United States employee to canceling those agreements and coming back into becoming a State of the Union citizen. And so the number one problem that people have in this process is finances and time, because it's a timely process and we do the work for you, so we get paid for the work. So we're switching up this probably next 2 to 3 weeks, but we're going to try to break it down to make it a little bit, not changing costs, but break it down so people are going to just do one section at a time. And we'll see. We've already broken it down pretty good. Like you can buy just the passport or just the foundation. We're trying to get it all broken down. I'm not sure when it's going to be done, so just hang tight. I'm putting that out there. But none of it is going to be where you do it yourself. And the reason is you have no idea how many people can't do a simple set of instructions. You have no idea. And I'm saying this to 30%. You give them clear instructions and they come back and they ask you how to do it. And you're like, did you read the instructions? They're like, no, should have I done that? Well, it was the cover of the document that we gave you to do. It would probably help you to read the instructions and to get your mind wrapped around what you need to do in order to file that document properly. And then they go and they read the instructions. Mm-hmm. And some people will still do it wrong. So there is no way for us to cover every different scenario of wrong. We can only tell you how to do it right. We can't help people to do it wrong. So I will still keep coming on and answering questions in a format every other week for customers or members that have an issue with being able to get those questions answered, or maybe the 200 or 100 other questions weren't specific enough for their needs. And sometimes that's absolutely correct. Like some people have needs that are very specific and they need to address that question. And sometimes I'm able to comply and make it happen right here on the Q&A. And sometimes it's just too much to comply with here on the Q&A because it might be an hour-long thing or a 2-hour long, or it might be just something they're trying to get enforcement support or help or. We do have an enforcement team to support people on the background for crimes being perpetrated against them, where the Constitution is being dishonored and they are truly a state citizen. We do have enforcement. But here's the great news about state citizenship. You're just left alone. We don't, there's so many rumors out there. You know that like civil flag? I'm sorry for everybody that's about to get pissed off. It's not the same as the Coast Guard flag, so stop. Coast Guard flag is something different than the civil peace flag or the whatever, the one that's vertical. That civil peace flag is nowhere in the law. We, the people, would have executed something that would have voted for the public people, meaning Congress, to put into law something regarding that civil peace flag. It doesn't exist anywhere in the law. So it's those types of things that only experience and knowledge can get you through. And so you're not hanging a flag behind you in Facebook, making yourself look like you haven't studied the law. Because there's people out there that are touting, and I'm warning you, because I don't want to say their names, but there's people out there touting that the stars on a passport card mean your nationality level of equivalent. And it's such a lie to people. It's just a lie. These same people are touting the civil union flag. These same people are touting, hey, you can do anything you want. And if they step on you, we're going to kick them 6 ways. That's just, look, we're here to bring peace to the table. As a state citizen, you're not giving up anything. You're taking your rights that are granted by God, and you're just bringing back the element of that freedom that you had at one point in the history of your family. You're bringing that freedom back to yourself individually, because that posterity as a U.S. citizen, the surety and the slave, and then collateral, came through your parents' marriage license. And granted that marriage license, literally in law, this is what a marriage license does. It puts you under the state, and it says the product of the union belongs to the state. Just go look at Black's Law. You don't need to take my word. The product of the union belongs to the state. Are you kidding me? Just because I agreed to go to the government and fill out a form and ask to have a civil marriage before a magistrate or a judge or a pastor. Yeah, that's exactly what it means. Before this century, for 6,000 years or however long man has been in existence, we never had to do that before when we wanted to marry the loved one of our life. We've failed literally this last century, for a lack of knowledge. And we thought that getting permission from the government to have a church, 501c3, was a necessary requirement. It's not. I can structure your church up right now, and you don't have to answer to anybody. You don't have to file any returns, and they can't touch you with a 10-foot pole. If y'all want to talk your pastors into it, you know what? But most pastors are sold into complying with the government because they're getting grants or because they need to keep that 501c3 status, not understanding what they truly have is everything that 501c3 owns is truly owned by the government. Everything that 501c3 teaches is truly taught by the government. I know they say they're able to do whatever they want to do with the Bible. There's coming a time, and they proved it 4 years ago, shutting down America, going into churches with code enforcement teams trying to shut down service of a church, Gestapo police. There's coming a time it's going to be far worse than that. And all those churches that are trying to hang on to their 501c3 status, all the people trying to hang on to their U.S. citizenship status because they're too afraid of coming out. Let me tell you something. I've been tested for my stress. Green all the way across the board. None. There is such a peace with obedience to God. And I said it, come out of her, my people. Every nation in this world is tied under The Securities and Exchange Commission in Washington, D.C. Yeah. The office position as a U.S. citizen. The office, here, let me say it, the job that you have, it's called U.S. citizen. The U.S. citizen is the birth certificate. I'm telling you, that's how they nailed everybody 6 ways to Sunday. You grab your birth certificate, you run down to the DMV. I want to be a driver. I want to get paid commercially or just drive people around. I want to take my passenger friends around and we're going to have a good time. Listen, I don't want to get into it with people. Do I hold a driver's license in my wallet? Yeah. Is it contracted to protect me? Absolutely. Meaning as a state citizen. Did you know that you do not have to have a driver's license to drive according to the Supreme Court of the United States of America to drive on a highway, byway, freeway, or street in a vehicle? You don't. It's your parents that sold you on it. It's your pastors that sold, it's the government that sold you on it, that you are required to have a driver's license to drive. Now, I'm not saying that's a good thing necessarily. I'm just telling you a fact. They can't force you to have something known as a job called driver with a public franchise, which is a corporation known as the Department of Motor Vehicles. It has to be done voluntarily. And that's why it's called an adhesion trust. It's a phrase I've coined, an adhesion contract, if you will. But a contract is offer, acceptance, consideration, performance, full disclosure. Adhesion trust is offer. You're coming in as the trustee, accepting the driver position. There is no countersigned agreement. There is no consideration. You get a plastic card saying, congratulations, you're a driver. That is the countersigned part of the agreement. No, it's not an agreement. It's an adhesion trust. You're the trustee. They are the grantor, and read the back. They're the beneficiary, okay, of anything you do wrong. Now, on that note, it's the same with the Social Security trust. Trust. The form you filled out at 13 years old was the trustee as the trustee of the trust. It is an unconscionable adhesion trust contract. You were underage. You were a minor placed into something. You shouldn't have had that ability to do that. You made an agreement with a corporation to hold another job. Now, the number one question everybody asks, does what we do take you away from receiving the money from Social Security Administration? The answer is no, it does not. Because what we do is a structure to make sure that you keep it, but put it into a private trust instead of into a bank account that is the name, meaning the registered organization name, your name. Excuse me. So you were free at one point in this nation. And this nation got a ton of debt by, we were framed from some very intelligent people, the banks. As a matter of fact, at the time, JP Morgan Chase, JP Morgan sat down the street and watched as the market went down to 5 cents on the dollar and watched people commit suicide, all because he made a play in the market. It was called a sell. And if he's selling, everybody's got to start selling. Well, it went down to 5 cents. And at the very bottom, he made a motion to buy. Now the country, 29, was bankrupt. And in 1931, 32, 33, 34, 35, they executed a series of laws, the Buck Act, the Trading with the Enemy Act, the Social Security Administrative Act, to make the people have jobs and get an employment identification number for the United States to guarantee a retirement income. And they used a new war to fund this nation once again. Slick. And at that time, if you became a U.S. citizen, you were considered an enemy, combatant, and belligerent according to the Trading with the Enemy Act, because the Trading with the Enemy Act added the U.S. citizen to the act. Wow. I'm at war with my government just by the act alone of them saying they're at war with me. Why would they do that? Because they made you the surety and the collateral as the debtor for the corporation, not disclosing to you that it's not the same as the nation known as the United States of America. Fraud in the factum from the very beginning. And so they had to leave open state citizenship. It never went away. It's still there. The law still supports the state citizen to have their God-given unalienable rights. And the law took away all those rights for the U.S. citizen, better known as the office holder position, meaning I'm taking my birth certificate, I'm going to apply for a job known as the DMV, I'm going to go apply for the job known as SSM, I'm going to go apply for the job known as the IRS so I can pay some taxes, a little more than I thought this year. And I'm going to go, and you keep applying for all these jobs, voters keep applying for all these jobs to hold a gun. And you don't realize, because you fail for lack of knowledge, to read the contract. A, what is the United States? B, where is the jurisdiction of the United States? C, what am I giving up by doing this? Well, your Second Amendment rights are very clear. Your God-given unalienable rights are even more clear. You know, people say, what guarantees you under the Second Amendment to have a gun? I don't have to worry about the Second Amendment. My rights come from God and are unalienable. The Second Amendment is an affirmation and reminder for Congress. That's it. And Congress has a dual oath, one to the state citizen and one to the United States citizen. The one to the state citizen has way more rights than the one to the United States citizen. As a matter of fact, it's already been determined by the Supreme Court that as a U.S. citizen, you do not have access to the Bill of Rights. Did you hear me? As a U.S. citizen, you do not have access to the Bill of Rights. So for all, because predominantly men are coming into the living in the private. Don't get me wrong. All the women follow, but it takes a couple months. You have to see the passport come for the man. And then 80% of the time, the women hold off on doing the passport. And then 100% of the time, after they see the app and see the passport, they go for their passport. The women, I don't know if it's a nervous thing. I don't know if it's a fear thing. Trust me, it's a fear thing for everybody. You're looking at this and you're thinking to myself, I've heard of this. I've heard and watched the federal government make fun of this. I've heard the federal government put out things called sovereign citizen reports by Homeland Security. I've heard judges have handbooks that go against the sovereign citizen theories. No. So that's why I have a document coming out regarding case laws of what state citizens have a right to here in this nation that are still active. And that's why they don't ever use the words state citizen ever in any of their documentation that they're putting out regarding sovereign citizens theory. Sovereign citizens is an oxymoron. Can't be both sovereign and be a citizen. Well, I figure if I'm a child of God, and if I'm making my allegiance to God right now, and I'm self-governed, and they want to call me sovereign, okay. And I'll say my citizenship is in heaven, which I literally do on our documents, our passport documents. We make allegiance to the Declaration of Independence. We put all the case sites in there that allow for you to get a passport as a state citizen. We don't use a social on the application. We make sure you're not, and this is another office holder position you're doing, is receiving mail through the United States Post Office. It's a whole scam. It's a whole nother conversation. But when you get it and you're like, oh my God, it's nothing more than a job that I have to quit. Then I got to clean up all those little jobs, like subcontractor type jobs, for you construction guys. Yeah. The DMV, the voters, the IRS, the SSA. Did you know? I'm going to create a video on this next couple days. Did you know that the IRS in their own code has a thing called revocation of election? We've all heard the contracts. I'm gonna really simplify the IRS for you. Number one, they only can go after people that are in their jurisdiction, US citizens. Number two, they can go after people that have filled out forms like W-4s or W-9s to go for a job where they say, I'm going to pay for these taxes, and don't pay for the taxes. Those are the people they go for. They don't go for people that don't fill out those forms and that are outside of the scope of their jurisdiction. People that get harmed by the IRS are generally people that filled out a W-4 and never filed taxes. Please hear that. It's very simple. People that don't get harmed are in every other nation in this world that is outside of the jurisdiction of the IRS. And it's because they don't fill out the forms contracting themselves with the IRS. They filled out the equivalent one for their own country. But it's proof that the IRS can't go after another individual in another country that they're not contracted with. So it's the same principle. We do the revocation of election, we do a notice of status, and we do a removal of signature. This way, on the removal of signature, they can never use your signature again to file a return on your behalf. The revocation of election is clear. The demonstration and notice of status is clear. With these three documents, people just get left alone. But stop playing the 1 foot in, 1 foot out game. And this is what we show you. 14 years as HISAdvocates, no complaints. I'm just saying, it's because we have an exceptional customer service. Yes, the back office is great. Our support is as much as we can possibly do for people with the video support, these type of Q&As, to get people riled up so we can show people this is legitimate. It's a real thing. It's a real offer. And it's not something that you're going to get ever told that it's the truth by your pastor or by the government or anybody else. So what do I got to show you? I got the Supreme Court rulings, and I've got a perfect record and thousands of people underneath our belt. That's it. That's all we can do. I'm not going to try to tell you every, government agency is bad. I mean, there's some that really do help people out. I'm not going to tell you pastors are bad because they love teaching the word. They're sold out because that's what they were taught to do, is be sold out. The one thing I do want pastors to change and help them understand is they should stop teaching people to be obedient to an ungodly governing authority. Period. Romans 13 does not apply for an ungodly governing authority, a government that says you should do this, even though it's against God's will. Number one. Number two, as a state citizen, I'm the government. They are there for one reason: to uphold my God-given unalienable rights. That's what pastors need to teach. Not that paying taxes is a good U.S. citizen. I left my church because of those words right there. Knowing, and he didn't know, but I addressed it with him and he never said anything. Knowing that a good U.S. citizen was paying into the largest La Cosa Nostra I mean that when I say that, entity in the world doing evil over the world, participating in the evil of the world. This is why Revelations 18:4 is clear. And this is why when you look at the whore Babylon, you really need to focus on a lens of the United States corporation and the umbrella nature of all its subcorporations worldwide. You really need to see it that way. Because the whole world and every birth certificate in the world is registered under the Securities and Exchange Commission and traded as a commodity on Wall Street with a CUSIP number on it. And they are registered securities. The people of the world, their equivalent birth certificate are registered securities. And they personally, because they hold that office position, because they went for that job, they are they are the surety and the collateral to the whore and ultimately to the beast system, the Vatican. Sorry, I'm telling you how it is. Vatican rules much more than what a lot of people think, and they don't necessarily understand. I did not say Catholics are bad. I would never say that. I would say that the Vatican is horrible. And what this current Pope is doing right now is absolutely biblical, bringing all the churches together, claiming one world religion, just like the Bible said would happen. So we're here, biblically speaking, and where everybody in the world became the surety and the collateral for the banks. And now this part is not theory, conjecture, hearsay. If you were to receive the recent V, you are considered now a party to the mRNA, which is the claimed mRNA, which means you are patentable as a living man or woman because now you are a byproduct in the creation due to altered DNA to Pfizer, Moderna, Johnson and Johnson. There's a way around this, guys. First, your personal freedom. Secondly, fix your internal. Those are subject matters that we have to take on at another time, because I can help you with the external and I have people that can help you with the internal. The stuff related to DNA is scary. It's scary. It's so scary what they're doing. And what's even scarier is they've already created, and this isn't BS, they've already created the chip that will go on your wrist or your forehead, done by Microsoft themselves. The chip number is 060606. You can't make this stuff up. It's not BS. It's not, and it's to work with the digital currencies of the world. And they've been dropping these microscopic aluminum particulates for 20 years now, filling our bodies with these aluminum particulate microscopic nanoparticulates. And I'm going to leave it right there, that are creating the Internet of Things, and your body will literally become a human antenna working with the chips that you're putting in you and that you're putting on your wrist or your forehead, mark whatever it may be, and you are now a party to the beast system, publicly acknowledged by your own desires. Yes, the V is a part of it. It's not the end. And there's many other things going on that we have to consider. We are in the days of days. I don't like calling them the end of days, even though Jesus did, because it's perfection to see what's about to come after. And if you do your job right and you understand, we have a way out of many of the plagues, meaning the punishment. Revelations 18:4, read it. And everything ties into what this ministry is doing. This ministry is freeing people from the bondage of all of that. There's a lot of people that want to come and just say, I don't necessarily believe in all that. I don't care. I don't care. Love you, bro. Come on in. Okay. I'm not here trying to figure out how to make believers out of people. I'm just here to tell you what I've learned, tell you what I know. And yeah, obviously, I'm a believer. I don't have any ulterior motives. I love, any brother of any faith. Um, I have to ask questions if you're of a demonic faith. But we are in the most interesting of times. And I really want people to get it that the peace that is done when you are completed and out is by far more than you will ever have in. It is a journey of faith, yes, to walk out, but a part of the alleviation of the faith is looking at the Supreme Court rulings, looking at the work that we've already done as a ministry. So you can see that the table is clean for us and that the Supreme Court already supports what we are pushing for people to do. It's just a matter of, do you have the ability, the desire, and are you ready to pull the trigger? Because this is game time. And I don't know if people are going to be able to forever do this. I know you'll be able to forever say no, but at least with people, I'm getting acknowledgments from the Department of State. At least for people, I'm getting stuff filed at the highest of levels, um, so that people are protected and people are left alone. And that is the important part in the equation of what we do as his advocates. Longest intro I've ever done, maybe. So let me go to the first Q&A again. Okay. First question: can a private foundation own another foundation trust ministry from abroad? Yeah, I can do what he says. Leeches. I got to figure that one out. Okay. From a veteran, also received via VA disability benefits from severe injuries. Outspoken veterans who change their status and become state citizens and successfully retain their veteran benefits. Can you speak more on how legal fiction is the person who gets the benefits, but the living man is the one who claims the state American citizenship? Sure. The U.S. citizen is the artificial person. So that's not you. Okay. You are the living man that is deserving of receiving the benefits that are literally paid to the name of the U.S. citizen. Just because, and we do everything in a structure where we teach you how to contract properly, where there is no liability on the contract. There is no surety gained on the contract. Everything that you're signing, you have to look as it's done for the purposes to your detriment to bring you into their jurisdiction. So we show you how to gain access to those benefits without succumbing to the jurisdictional issues, without succumbing to the surety or the collateral issues, or making a unconscionable contract that you don't want to do. So we help people in that realm as well. Plus, you're becoming the beneficiary of the live born record, the BC, and that allows you to retain any of the benefits of the BC that you wish to have because they don't contest it. Next question. I saw your video that you did on land patents. How successful do you think it would be in New York State, New York City? You the only one that did it in the area. So that was a pretty old video that you watched. If I were you, I'd be focused on how the recordations are happening. See, and I'm going to do this real quick because I've done it 100 times. At the county recorder, there's a register and a recorder. And so the register is able to accept an uncountersigned deed and accept a deed where somebody is putting something into the public and accept it for FRNs with a legal description and so on and so forth. So you have to first get your deed correct and make sure that you're only posting a recording. And so the style of the recording also on the de facto side, meaning one that you're registering, is a joint tenant, tenant in common, or what have you. So we actually, for people that are in the living in the private program, we give them a copy of a deed that they can use as a template for themselves. And the template is such that um, it's by gold, by hand, meets and bounds, no legal description, fee simple recordation style, and with an acceptance, meaning you're accepting the deed that you're submitting into the county. So what is a contract? Why are we only having the grantor sign a contract, the state paying the tax on it, letting you put something in that is a joint tenant, fees, not fee simple. It's a Federal Reserve notes, which gives them access and jurisdiction over everything because they become a third party versus gold. And so it's the element and the style of the deed that you become able to record a deed versus register a deed. Does that make sense? And so you're not putting something into their coffers, you're putting something in for recordation. And they can't now say that that property doesn't belong to you. Go read up on fee simple. Now, does that mean that the taxation automatically stops? In some cases, it has. But in most cases, they're going to fight you on it. So we've talked about the element of what to do in those cases. And every case is different, and every fight is different, and most will always lead to court. But if you're putting it into a foundation, not a man's name, which is a church ministry, if you're putting it by goal, by hand, meets and bounds, fee simple, grantee signing it, you've perfected a deed on the public side recording, and now you have an opportunity to bring forward a series of an administrative process with the local county recorder. And if it were me, I'd remove the property from the county recorder. I don't need trash. I don't need fire. I don't need police protection. But there is the opportunity to remove a property from the county recorder. Now, as a broker for a long time, I've seen thousands and thousands of deeds. I've done thousands of loans. As a company president, understanding title process, you may want to really get your mind wrapped around what I just said. One of the questions on the exam was, are you required to record something in the county recorder's office? And I'm like, of course you are. I was wrong. That's your deed. That's yours. You don't have to record it if you don't want to. So you have to, and that put my head on a spin. What is the ramification if you do not record something in the county recorder? Think about that. Think about what the next steps are. So if you're not required to, does that mean you can pull something that's been recorded out of the county recorder? The answer is yes. So God bless you guys in your journey and figuring that one out, because everyone is different. But get the deed right first. Hope that helps. You say that this is a timely process. Can you define? Some people are as quick as 4 to 6 months. Some people are at their leisure, taking their time, 9 to year and a half. It's really up to you. The longest part of it is gaining the final copy of the certified copies of the passport application from the Department of State. That's the one that takes the most time. Next question. I've transferred my deeds for my houses into the foundations. Will the next steps be changing all accounts, i.e. utilities? Yes. Association dues to the foundation? Yes. Property taxes, etc. in the name of the foundation? Yes. Is there any provisions for not having to pay property tax? Kind of answered that on the last questions, Jamie. The very removal of a property from the county recorder would handle that. The second opportunity is to claim the church exemption, fill out whatever paperwork that they have, minus all their questions that they have. How many times a week do you hold service? All those stupid questions. You're exempt federally. Federal law trumps state law. That's the claim. That's what we're sticking to. And so it's a fight from that point. But yeah, there are provisions for being tax-free. Next question. We have heard that the paperwork is about 5% of living in the private program. I would say that it is. We have now been with you for over a year, and we do not know how long this program will take. Do you have something that will show a timeline for all that is needed on the paperwork so that we know how big the amount is? Mark, we have diagrams that show you all the paperwork. And if you're not active on your ticket or active following instructions on your ticket's going to be delayed, generally speaking. I'm not blaming you for anything. I'm just saying there's a lot of people that don't read their tickets to be able to proceed forward with the next steps. So you may want to gather up some time to review your entire ticket and ask, what are my next steps? if it isn't abundantly clear on the ticket. And Mark, I'm going to tell you right now, not blaming you or anybody else, but every time somebody says that, I go review their ticket. I can tell you line item by line item what it is that's holding it up, and I'll always point back to the customer. Very rare do we make mistakes. No, it's we make mistakes, but because we know the program so well, it's rare. Um, we're waiting on customers, we're waiting on members a lot. So if you want us to do a review with you, I'd be more than happy to, and we'll see what we can do to push it along and give you a proper time frame. All right. Um, going over to the YouTube side, seeing if we got any questions over there. What are your thoughts on the taxes and crypto issue in Australia? Jason, what is the crypto issue in Australia? Taxes should, if you have structured up your purchases um, as yourself, the registered organization, what account is it in? And if do you have a foundation to donate it to? Because donating it to a foundation right now before the bull run would be your best bet. So go to HISAdvocates.org and ask for a foundation. We show you how to make that foundation work with exchanges around the world so that you can send the crypto to the exchange, have them convert the crypto to whatever currency you want, and then wire you money to your local bank in the name of the foundation, all tax free. It's structure. So again, outside of that, what's the issue in Australia? The name of my cat is Gem John. I call her Gemini, Gem John. That's literally a question. And I have two other cats, Tigger and Tang. They're both orange tabbies. They're about 6 months old, and they are fun. They are so much fun. If you've ever had an orange tabby, they're monstrous cats. They're little joyous terrors, and they eat. They're foodies. They are such foodies, man. Um, I've never had cats like this, and I don't like cat hair, and I don't, but there's nothing like going to bed and the cat snuggling you and yeah, whatever. There went my man card. um, oh God. Yeah, Mr. Walker, I'll check your ticket. I'm gonna highlight this and send it to our back office team. Give me a second so I can make sure they get it. Doing it right now. Okay. We'll get your ticket checked in response. How long you been a member? Okay, so if you post something, it will be a mess. Registered BC. Registered organization BC is housed in the securities. It's not housed, it's housed in a county, but it could be they are once in the public sent to the SEC for registration or register. I don't know exactly how the process works, but every BC is registered under the Securities and Exchange Commission. Put a CUSIP number on it, traded, and anybody that's interested to see who the investors are on their BC, send an email to support@hisadvocates.org or go to hisadvocates.org, click on support, register support ticket. We'll give you the link to where you can get that. Somebody tell me what the meaning of robbed is, Joanne. Yeah. Supreme Court rulings, hopefully it'll be done by Friday. Give our back office time for it to go out, but we have a guy working on it and it's mostly done, so it should be done by Friday. You know, I don't think they look at it necessarily as a business, Mr. Walker. Um, it is a movement, and it is a ministry. And I think if you understood the stress and pressures that are on um these guys, I think you would have a different heart. You got to realize something. We're we're on the forefront of doing something really great, and we are doing something great, but it could next level. There's a lot of work that needs to happen. We've got, you know, it's all in God's timing, but it's very difficult to manage stupidity, manage different styles of people's expectations. It's very difficult. And you'll have people that will pay for a service and they think that they own you for the rest of their lives. Like they'll buy a foundation and they think they can call you 24 hours a day on Mother's Day and talk to you about anything they want for the rest of your life because that is their expectation. And so give us grace and understand we're a fledgling little ministry trying to help tens of thousands of people. And we are gaining a lot of ground in technologies and automation, and your grace is required. I truly appreciate it. This isn't easy, man. This is not easy. And so if you find somebody that's stressed or pressured in the background, they're probably not with us anymore. And if you find somebody that was short and not very helpful, they're probably not with us anymore. We have a good tight team, and we're hoping that we can treat everybody equally, but it's not easy because of everybody's expectations. Um, and unfortunately, we haven't figured that component out yet, but we're working on it. All right. That's really no more questions over there. Let me go back over here. Can I ever proceed with delivering the private before my passport application is done? The answer is yes. You can. We just have a process. You may not want to. You may just want to. Um, it's just easier that way. And thank you, John. Yeah, our back office is awesome, and I appreciate them and Rob and the support uh, with what he does. It's not easy. There's no way, waking up to 30 questions and getting them answered and yawning, turning around, getting a meal, and then boom, another 20 questions hits. That's not easy, man. So we're trying to figure out automation, putting out these videos and getting it all dialed in. So I hope you guys appreciate it. But man, this is, I think, the quickest Q&A we've had. Congratulations, everyone. I really do appreciate you. We didn't have a lot of questions. Are there any more questions? I don't want to cut out before the questions are all done. So there might be some issue, Mr. Walker, with the DOS on something. There might be an issue with the way that you applied. There might be an issue. There's 100 different things that I could respond with there that would, not help your position out necessarily today, but I'll ask him what's going on. He's already got your last two texts. We'll get it figured out and just be patient, brother. Let me see any more questions. I have one. Where is it? Did you ask it here in the comments? Yeah, just ask back office, Tabitha, to get you a copy of the deed and for you to be able to move your own property into the private if that's what you're trying to get accomplished. We give it to you for free. If you want us to do it for you, there's a fee, but we give it to you for free in the back office. Second question, what about so the reason why you didn't get your question answered is because right above where you posted your question was Kristen writing you saying post all your questions to the Q&A over on the left. It's on the bottom left of your open window because we don't get to the questions on the comment section almost ever. But I'm doing it for you right now. So you are about to purchase some land without a note, paying with cash. what are the proper steps for purchasing it in the foundation name and getting it titled correctly? It's too much. It's a big question and it's been answered quite a bit. So ask that same question in your LPP, and I'll post you some video links to consider watching. Um, you can go to the Q&A section and just look for real estate, look for land, look for patent, look for, any of those things on His Advocates TV under the Q&As. You can go to hisadvocates.tv on the internet, on an internet browser, and you can search it there as well. You can go to hisadvocates.org and go to the Q&A, where you click on at hisadvocates.org, you would click on I'm going to give you exact directions right now. Click on shows and videos, click on Q&A to drop down living in the private, Q&A on living in the private. Then every question and answer I've ever done, there's thousands there. Go over to the right. You can sort sets alphabetically. Click that. It's in the right middle. It's a 3-inch by 3-inch. Sort sets alphabetically. And there is different topics. So I'm going to post that link right here on the bottom of the Q&A or the comment section. That way you can go straight there and you can look up real estate, deeds, whatever we've done, and just start watching videos for explanation. There's some really good videos we've already recorded, because that would take a good half hour. And I've already recorded half-hour long videos explaining that stuff. Okay. Yeah, Tabitha, ask Kristen for support on if you need to reach out or get a consultation set up. Zindi, my son was suggested he apply for SSI as he won't be able to work, drive, or be alone too long. Will this affect him when he begins his process? No, something we can remove or change or alter. Don't worry about that. All right, guys. God bless you. Thank you so much for coming out and watching, and appreciate your time. Your time is valuable. And if you ever have any questions, again, in the Living in the Private program, support is generally done within the ticket. If you have an emergency, we got an 800 number for you to call. And pretty much every other Monday, we're here at 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. to answer difficult questions. But if we've already answered them, we're going to point you into a direction where you can find them. On YouTube, they're under questions and answers. There's a 700 or 800 there. There's over 2,000 on hisadvocates.org, and there's probably about 1,800 on His Advocates TV. So we're not lacking for giving you answers. It's a lot of work to figure out the nuancy stuff, and sometimes that may require a paid consultation. So think about that. And otherwise, God bless you guys. Appreciate you coming on, and we'll see you in 2 weeks for the Q&A.